Hey, VSU, this is Katie, one of the counselors in the Office of Career Services. Today I want to talk about how to build a great LinkedIn profile. Fortunately, LinkedIn has a lot of different resources online for students who are just getting started. If you don't already have a profile, LinkedIn is really the way to go for professional networking. It is the top used networking site online by millions of people across the world. And it's an easy process to get started, but your first step is to create a profile that is professional looking and ready to go when you start networking with professionals. So this here is a profile checklist that will help with the first beginning steps. First things first, with your profile, you want to start with a nice professional headshot. This should be roughly from the shoulders up and should be something that is nice, crisp and clean and professional looking. You want to make sure you're not in a photo with other people or have a blurry background or something unprofessional. So a nice clean headshot is the way to go, as you can see from this sample. The next thing that they're highlighting is what's called the headline. That will be right here where it says econ major and aspiring financial analyst. This is really important because this is one of the first things people see if your name comes up in a search result. They see your name, your photo, and this headline. So it's really important that this be eye-catching. If you leave this by default, it will list your current job title that is listed under your experience section. So you want to make sure that you specifically tailor this to something that meets your goal. So as you can see, you might highlight your major, the career path you're interested in, or maybe the types of jobs you're targeting. Next up would be your summary or your About Me section right here. And think about this as sort of your written elevator pitch or your little marketing speech. This should give a quick overview of who you are as a student, what your targets are in terms of industries, careers, types of jobs, and maybe what's your passion or your interest in that field. Why are you pursuing that? You also can mention what you're hoping to use LinkedIn for, whether it be networking or joining groups or learning more about different industries, but this is a great way to show your motivation for your career goals. Moving down in your profile, you'll get to your experience section. And this is where you're going to include all the jobs that you've had, any internships, or maybe even special volunteer things that you've done. Best case scenario is that you have a number of different related experiences to include here, but if not, it's okay to put some of those part-time jobs that got you through college, but make sure that you include descriptions just like you would on your resume. The other great thing about this section is you can actually upload samples of your work for each of those jobs. So if you listed a internship where you created marketing materials or did a really extensive research paper, you can incorporate that by uploading it to that experience. You really want to fill this part out with as much detail as possible. The reason being is that your resume is going to incorporate a lot of keywords that are very important for people to find you on LinkedIn. So the same thing should go with your profile. There's also a section on here for organizations that you might be a part of, whether it's a student member, a community service group, things like that, or even clubs and activities that you do on campus. Feel free to add those roles there. Of course, the education section, you're going to include your full degree, your majors, your minors, concentrations, things of that nature here. So if you transferred to BSU, include that previous school. You want to add all that stuff on there to kind of grab those affiliations with different people on LinkedIn. There is a whole section for volunteer experiences and causes. So if you are involved in a lot of community service, this would be a great place to add it. But just because something was volunteer doesn't mean that it couldn't go under experience as well. So let's say you did an unpaid internship. So in your mind, that's volunteer, but obviously an internship is much more professional in nature. So I would probably put that under the experience section instead of volunteer. This is more so where you would include community service or kind of one-time or short-term opportunities where you were serving the greater community. There's also a section on LinkedIn for your skills and experience or expertise. And this is a great place for you to highlight some of those keywords and skills that are required in your field. And the nice thing about this is once you incorporate some skills onto your profile, your connections can start to endorse you. So basically they click a button that says endorse, and that's saying that that connection agrees that you're good at public speaking or counseling or advising or whatever it might be. So as you can see from this example, you have all of these individuals who are endorsing the student for their experience with startup work. So make sure you fill that out. Again, keywords are essential on LinkedIn profiles. There's an honors and awards section for anything that you want to add there. You also can incorporate your coursework here as a list. So that's another great way to add some keywords specific to your major and your academic studies. And then another thing that I love about your profile is this newer section for projects. This is where you can add in academic projects from the classroom that show you taking what you're learning and applying it to a real world environment. So this would be a great place for you to also tag any of your team members, whether it be classmates or a professor from that particular class that you worked on. And that's really going to help you get involved here with your projects. Lastly, an amazing section that LinkedIn includes is a recommendations category. So this is critical because it allows you to have, again, professionals talking about your skills and experiences and vouching for you. So you can ask connections on LinkedIn to write you a short recommendation, and it's a lot easier for them because it's just a short paragraph or two. It doesn't take as much time as actually writing out a full letter of recommendation or even being a phone call reference. So definitely consider managers, supervisors, people who've seen you working, and ask them if they'd be willing to write you a recommendation on LinkedIn. It's also good practice to return the favor. So if you had a good experience with that person, feel free to write them a recommendation as well. So these are just a couple tips to ensure that you've built a really great profile as you get started on LinkedIn. For more resources, definitely make sure to check out Career Services LinkedIn page. We have a lot of information with tips and tools and more videos to come.